Any public input to speak for the text amendments? Or against? Okay, seeing none. And we'd like these all voted on individually then?
Yes, please.
Okay, certainly. So I entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Roll call, please.
John McDowell,
Yes.
John Mullane,
Yes.
Brian Pepper,
Yes.
Mike Pearsall,
Yes.
Beth Schlater,
Yes.
Carrie Vincevich,
Yes.
Kevin West,
Yes.
Mike Boland,
Yes.
Greg Coffey,
Yes.
David Gerber.
Yes.
Okay, amendments are approved. Next item, item C, a text amendment. Wrong screen here. Text amendment regarding section 3-4.c, consolidation of plats and boundary adjustment plats.
Okay. All right, so for section 3-4C of the Land Development Code, we're proposing to add a whole new section dealing with consolidation plats and boundary adjustment plats. With these two new elements, we're proposing that no new easements and no new dedication of improvements be permitted. And really what this will do, it will allow someone to buy a certain number of feet of land from their neighbor and have that small strip of, 20 feet or 10 feet included with their property. It will also allow us, and I think I have this is an example that I used at ordinance committee. So and this person has not applied for anything. I just pulled this parcel off the county website to use as an example. So let's assume lot number 146 or house 146 here wants to purchase this property, or maybe they own this property and they want to put a shed over here. Because a shed is an accessory structure, it is only permitted on the lot where the primary structure is located. So in this particular situation, we would be obligated to deny a building permit for a shed on this parcel of land, even if this person owns both, and even if they receive one tax bill. So right now, these are two separate lots of record, as you'll see here, lot number 21 and lot number 20. Frequently though, people will go to the county and they'll get their tax bills combined, and this parcel line goes away, but the underlying platted lots exist. And so we've run into this a number of times where people have bought 2 or 3 lots. They want to put an accessory structure on one, or maybe they want their home to be over a lot line or too close to a lot line. And this ordinance amendment will allow this person to have a consolidation plat drawn up so that these 2 lots of record are platted as one. And we can then approve a building permit for a shed or a garage. And we can treat this truly as one lot. Similarly, if there were a house on this lot here instead of trees, and the person at 146 wanted to purchase 10 feet of this because they wanted to put an addition on their house and they needed a little extra room to meet a side setback requirement. The Plat Act allows sale or exchange of property between owners, but that still leaves a strip that is really not part of either of these 2 lots at that point. So the boundary adjustment part of this will allow a plat to be drawn up for both of these lots with the adjustment of this center lot line to meet both neighbors' needs, if that makes sense. So like I said, there'll be no new easements allowed. There'll be no new right-of-way dedication. This is intended to be a very simple application, a very straightforward process. it will be approved administratively. So they'll submit a consolidation plat to the Department of Public Works. The director of the Department of Public Works will be able to sign that and give it back to be recorded at the county. And so this was also discussed at the February and March Ordinance Committee meeting. And after some changes were made between February and March, the committee recommended approval at their March meeting.
It wasn't called out specifically, Emily, but I'm guessing that it goes without saying that if this process is used, it cannot result in a non-conforming lot.
That is correct. Yeah, that's part of the text. I didn't say that tonight, but you are correct.
Okay.
And Emily, just a point of clarification. Currently, you can build, if I'm understanding correctly, you can build a primary residence across a lot line as long as it meets all other zoning codes. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have allowed that in the past. It's probably not as clean that way, and we would like to get to a point where we are requiring people to consolidate lots if they are crossing a lot line. But yes, we have allowed that.
Any other questions, comments from the commission?
Emily, this is Beth, do you know offhand, in this example, and this makes a lot of sense. I think this is a great thing, and the example you picked makes it very clear what you're trying to do. So thank you. Do you know what our regs say, our ordinance says in terms of how close someone can build to another property line? I'm envisioning in your example, lot 146 decides they want to build, as you say, a shed, but they end up building that as far from their property as from their house as they possibly can, putting it really close to the other neighbor's house. And I'm just wondering what they would have to adhere to our current ordinance, and wondering what that is in terms of spacing.
Yeah, good question. So an accessory structure, detached accessory structure like a shed or even a detached garage, has to be 10 feet from the principal structure on the lot and 5 feet from side and rear lot lines. It can also only be located in the side and rear yard. That being said, keep in mind that if a house were to be built here, the primary structure would have a 10-foot setback. So at most, this principal structure on this empty lot would be 15 feet from an accessory structure on 146.
Okay, thank
Does
you.
that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Okay, good.
So from my understanding, Emily,
Mhm.
between the 146 and 142, would those two lines eventually like just become closer then, or one eventually go away in the scenario you were talking about? Like, I
Yeah,
guess-
it
go ahead.
appears that little cutout is actually platted right of way. So it's my guess with Dunlap Lake, maybe that was intended for maybe a boat. I don't know what. But don't look at that as part of this example, I guess. It appears to be part of platted right of way.
Any other questions for staff? Any members of the public wish to speak in favor of the text amendment? Any wish to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval. It's Greg.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
John Mullane,
Yes?
Brian Pepper,
Yes.
Mike Pearsall,
Yes.
Beth Schlater,
Yes,
Carrie Vincevich,
yes,
Kevin West,
Yes.
Mike Boland,
Yes.
Greg Coffey,
Yes.
David Gerber,
Yes.
John McDowell.
Yes.
Item is approved. Next item, item D, text amendments to section 2-2, selected definitions of the land development code. Emily?
Okay, yep. So because we have added the language related to consolidation plats and boundary adjustment plats, we now have to define those terms. So this is a simple amendment to our land development code that defines a consolidation plat as a plat which combines one or more existing lots of record in whole or in part into a single lot of record. And a boundary adjustment plat is a plat which depicts a change in a recorded subdivision that results in the relocation or reconfiguration of a lot line.
Any questions for staff? Any input from the public for the text amendment? Or against? Hearing none. Request a motion?
So
Motion.
moved. Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Brian Pepper,
Yes.
Mike Pearsall,
Yes.
Beth Schlater,
Yes.
Carrie Vincevich,
Yes.
Kevin West,
Yes.
Mike Boland,
Yes.
Greg Coffey,
Yes.
David Gerber,
Yes.
John McDowell,
Yes.
John Mullane.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Last item on the public hearing portion of the meeting tonight, item E, text amendment to chapter 1250, lot coverage and utilization of the zoning code. Emily?
Okay, yeah, the last of our text amendments tonight deals with lot coverage and utilization. And I think probably the easiest thing is going to be for me to skip ahead to the next slide, first of all, to show you how the text looks currently as written. And I'll draw your attention to 1250.05, contiguous parcels or lots. And then we'll kind of flip back and forth between the slides here. So contiguous parcels or lots talks about when two or more parcels of land, each of which lacks adequate area and dimensions to qualify for a permitted use under the requirements of the use district in which they are located, are contiguous and are held in one ownership. They may be used as one zoning lot for such purpose, provided both are in the same zoning district. And so we are proposing to change this language to say that in order to use them as one lot, they have to be consolidated under section 3-4C of the Land Development Code. So they have to follow the newly adopted consolidation procedures in order to use these two parcels as one lot if they lack the adequate size individually. So we want to move toward having all of our lots, all of our, smaller lots, if they're being used as one, instead of a home being built over a lot line. We want them to be consolidated, and we want things to be, a little bit cleaner on record that way. The other change, are there any questions on that before I move on?
Emily, do you have any examples of how this has caused the city any kind of heartburn? Has this been causing issues for staff?
We are dealing with smaller lots in various parts of town, people wanting to build on those lots. Probably the bigger issue is what I'm going to talk about next. The lots are parcels of record that met our code originally, but now with increased lot sizes are smaller than the required 7,500 square feet. And so this 1250.05, the contiguous parcels or lots, is more about just cleaning this up to require consolidation plats now if you're going to use two lots of record as one. The bigger issue is here in 1250.06 and 0.06.01. So you'll see the packet that you were distributed for this meeting. Sorry, I'm using a bunch of different screens tonight. Let me get down to that page here. You'll see in your packet tonight that we're adding some language for 1250.06 Actually, we're deleting some language from 1250.06. We're deleting item B. So 1250.06 allows any vacant lot that does not meet or conform to one or more of the lot size requirements to be used in the manner originally intended under the zoning district if it was of record as of March 21st, 1995. That's when the city did a big overhaul of their zoning code. And the code currently states that it has to remain in separate ownership from abutting tracts of land throughout the entire period which it existed, in which it was prohibited by the zoning code. And that is where the issue lies. I think I have an aerial image here. So this is Sheridan Avenue and Hancock Avenue. And we have a bunch of lots here on either side on the north and south side of Hancock Street, which are small lots. They're 50 feet wide and 143 feet deep. They're all currently vacant, and I believe most of them, well, some of them may be owned. I actually don't know who owns these. Some of them may be owned by the same person. And under our current code, if these lots are owned by the same person, if one person owns 2 of these lots, they can't be used individually. And so we have a lot of these smaller lots in the more historic, older part of town, and we really want to see people using these lots. We want to see infill development and people using and building lots that exist in town. Under our current code, if someone had purchased 4 of these lots, they wouldn't be able to be used for 4 separate homes. They would only be able to be used for one home, no matter the size, and they wouldn't be able to be used for separate residential lots ever again. So we're proposing this ordinance change to allow development to allow infill development, really. The other thing this ordinance does is clean up the language in 1250.06.01. So as you see here, it just says in residential districts, and then when you start listing A is at least 50 feet wide. And there's not any language to really describe what we're talking about. Like this is just a little confusing. So the language that's proposed that you received in your packet tonight adds a descriptive paragraph which states a lot does not conform to one or more of the lot size requirements of the R1 single family or R2 multiple family districts may be used in the manner permitted in said zoning district if it A is greater than or equal to 50 feet wide, utilizes existing setbacks, etc. So we just added a little bit of text there to help explain what this section is really trying to say. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I think some of these things are best explained just by using the examples. So I can go back to this aerial image and the plat here.
So Emily, I really like the changes being proposed for 0.06 and 0.0601. I guess my only concern is with 0.05, where if someone had ownership of lots 17 and 18 and wanted to build across that lot line currently today, we would allow them to. And under this change, we would be requiring a consolidation plat, which could, just puts a barrier in between them and their plans. Consolidation plat could be, a few $1,000s. And if I don't really understand or see the need for it.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, I guess, the one thing I would say about that is that each of these lots has a required side setback, right? So there's a 10-foot side yard setback required for each lot. And when we allow people to build over lots, like has been done in the past, just as kind of a temporary, like, well, we don't really have a procedure for this, but let's, if you build over the lots, we know that you then can't build to the lot line of 17 and 18 and then turn around and sell 18 with a house that is non-conforming and on the line on 17. Like I said, there are side yard setbacks for either. So when we do allow someone to build over a lot, we're basically foregoing our side setback requirements, which is not ideal either. So So requiring the consolidation plat really is the best case. Also, if that person comes back in the future and wants to build a shed or something in their rear yard, you know, it would just make that easier for them. If the house were not really on 18, maybe it were just on 17 or just barely on 18.
Do you,
I don't know
Emily,
if
do you have any idea of just in the past, I don't know, 10 years or so, how many of these cases have come up where someone's built across a lot line?
Probably a handful, at least.
Okay.
Yeah, at least a handful. There are probably a dozen.
Okay.
Any other questions? So Greg, were there any concerns when this came through ordinance committee that were discussed?
Oh, I'm sure there were. I don't have my meeting notes with me.
I'm trying to look back through some old notes and see if I can find it. Most of the comments were from the February meeting, and I think I have my March ordinance packet with me. I don't know that I have all of it.
Yeah, I think we looked at as much as just conforming it to the consolidation plat and boundary adjustment plat, you know, being a major part of this, and the second part of it being to make it clear, you know, when somebody comes in to buy something, that they know what, you know, where the line is, meaning that there is no line, that the accessory building really is on that second, what would have been the second lot.
I do have my comments from the February meeting, and most of what was discussed at that ordinance committee meeting, most of the comments were related to like just kind of grammatical changes and I don't know, making things, instead of having an A and B bullet point, making things one sentence or two sentences.
I don't think there is very much comments with regard to that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Any other-
nothing conceptually, there was an issue.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was more structural changes to paragraphs and
exactly.
outline form.
Structure, not content.
Correct.
Any other questions for staff regarding the amendment? As it is a public hearing, we'll ask if there are any members of the public present who wish to speak in favor. Or against? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Roll call, please.
Mike Pearsall,
Yes.
Beth Schlater,
Yes.
Gary Bensevich,
Yes.
Kevin West,
Yes.
Mike Boland,
No.
Greg Coffey,
Yes.
David Gerber,
Yes.
John McDowell,
Yes.
John Mullane,
Yes,
Brian Pepper.
Yes.
motion carries. Thank you. With that, we will close the public hearing portion of tonight's meeting. And we will move on to old business, if there is any. And what is
I
staff?
only have, under old business, I just wanted to let everyone know that all of the TESCO work relating to the I-55 corridor, which was originally scheduled for the end of March, will be rescheduled at a later date. We're still kind of waiting out COVID-19 to see what happens and when we're all back to work and can meet in a group to discuss these sorts of things. So that's on hold for the time being.
Thank you. Under new business tonight, we have two items. Just a reminder to the plan commissioners, May 1st is the deadline for the annual filing of your statement of economic interest, your SOEI form, with the Madison County Clerk's Office. If you were not emailed the information regarding that, if it's your first time, or if you have been emailed and not filled it out, we'd like to get those done so we're in compliance by March 1st. I'm sorry, May 1st. My apologies, correction, May 1st. Second item under new business to be thinking about for the May meeting. May is traditionally the month when we elect officers to the Plan Commission. We have 3 offices, chairman, vice chairman, and designate alternate. I believe this year, as by bylaws, each of those offices can be filled for a 2-year term by one individual. This would be the second year of the term for all 3, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. If there are those that are interested in seeking a position, always welcome anyone who wants to serve. Just let myself or Emily know via email of your interest, and we will get those brought before the commission at our next meeting. Are there any other questions or concerns to come before the commission tonight?
Do we have any additional cases that are up on presentation or on file for the next meeting?
I don't have anything on schedule yet for May 18th. I'm going to wait another week or 2 to cancel it officially. So we're probably just at this point looking at a June meeting.
Okay.
We had looked at this month's meeting and the extenuating circumstances with the teleconferencing. And since we all got together and all got dialed in, the decision was made to consider all the text amendments and just pretty much get the plate cleared at this point. So that if there is not enough if there is nothing that requires a meeting in May, these items have already been taken care of and won't get put off another month. So I appreciate your indulgence in that tonight. And I want to thank you for meeting under these extenuating circumstances. Ask everyone to stay safe. Please continue to practice your social distancing and shelter in place. We're getting good news, but we do not want to have our good news transform us into a second curve that we need to flatten out. So please continue to be safe and sheltered. If there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Be safe.
You too.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.